I'm live. It's working. Okay. I guess the dogs are just as excited as I am. Welcome, Yarlith. Welcome, Danda's Junk. Hold on. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. No longer looking here. Looking at y'all. But James Allen, welcome. Okay. Guys, hear some crazy stuff in the backgrounds of my videos? Well, anyways, last weekend was Sac Anime, and I went for all 3 days, almost the entire time, and I have notes. I really do. I genuinely do. I was helping out in the cosplay repair booth, and a lot of the repairs were the same repairs over and over again, just kind of different versions of the same thing. A lot could be fixed with hot glue in general, but anyways, it's been a crazy, crazy weekend. I tried to live stream. That went well, less than stellar, but at least I tried. And I think it was fun just kind of figuring out the setup. And now I have a slightly better webcam and just figuring things out a little bit better each time. But yeah. Oh, thank you, Annalith. Says I'm looking 100% better. So, yes, I have Toby with me here and Bruno with me here. Spooky's kind of around. You might see him pop in, but I have. This is the time that he likes to go crazy, so we'll see if we see him. But let's start with my costumes that I wore. I didn't feel like I was dressed up when I was dressed up in Wednesday Addams because it was just one of my black dresses that I happened to own. I added the cuffs and collars, but I also took off the cuffs and collars when I wore it with the sweater and the jacket because when she wears that striped sweater with the jacket, she doesn't have a collar. Anyways, I had several different looks within one look, but it just felt like regular clothes, and I was comfortable. And surprisingly, I was colder in that than I was in my Ty Lee costume because it was just, even though it was long sleeves and I had tights on, it was very lightweight and very cool. So Wednesday Addams, wasn't the most exciting cosplay I've done. Wasn't the worst, so that's what I'd say on that one. And as for Ty Lee, I have notes. Yes. I genuinely liked the fabrics that I chose. It was comfortable. I was warm. They didn't have any accidents. Here, I washed it through the laundry. Now it's all clean. And I washed all the sizing out of the collar, and it is all holding together nicely, but it's a lot droopier, but still nice collar. What I don't like about the collar is how I finished these edges. In all reality, instead of doing shoulder seams, I could have done this as one piece and done a center back seam and just used Velcro to close it. And then I wouldn't have had to worry about the stretch, and I could have even done a little bit of a craft foam in there to give it more stiffness if I really wanted to. But this stayed really nicely. It didn't like get in my face or flip around, which was nice. And these flippy little skirt flap things, these, this is it post being washed. Still straight, not curling, not doing anything funky. Those are the right height. They didn't get like in my face or in the way. Like I could genuinely do gymnastics with those on without it getting interfering, which was really nice. So Tylee's costume is completely practical to do gymnastics in. Who would have thought? But I really, really liked how comfortable it was, and I pre-shrunk my fabric or pre-washed my fabric so it didn't shrink in the wash, and it's all back to normal, all in one piece. I ended up wearing it for 2 days of the con. I didn't end up doing capture the second day because the first day was so freaking crazy. I didn't get a single photo of my outfit at all, like at all. I think other people got photos of me, but I didn't get a single photo. And also, it was really fun being there with the real Ty Lee and the other Avatar people because There's this one guy who was cosplaying as the Cabbages guy. He was hilarious. He was in the repair place a couple times. Forgot his repair because more or less I just handed him a hot glue gun. But yeah, my notes were if I redo the collar, I would do it out of foam and center back seam and just an inch bigger around the perimeter. The shoulder to shoulder was fine, but I just feel like it needed a little bit more. Yeah, I would match the colors better. I really enjoyed these colors. They felt right for the time and they were cheap fabric. I spent $12 on this entire cosplay. Can't complain. I really genuinely can't complain about that. But I would do it better in the right colors and I would get matching shoes. But I figured it wasn't worth it for this one because I wasn't really trying to get the right colors. So I wasn't going to try and color match shoes or fabric color shoes or buy ballet slippers and then dye them to the right shape. No. Not for the wrong colors, but if I took the time to do this out of the right colors, I would take that extra step. And then I would blouse the pants more. I really like the shape and I like how solid it looked with the polar fleece lining, but I would go even fluffier, like significantly fluffier. On the legs, I would add more poof to them. And then I would also add a half an inch in the back seam because I kept having to pull up my pants just a little bit, and all it would be is just a half an inch right at the back seam, and that would have fixed that problem fit-wise. But so for a first draft, this was excellent. Would work perfectly fine. But if I did it again, I'd do it in better colors and make the legs a little poofier. But the top, no complaints. The collar, I would just do a center back seam so that my shoulders were prettier because I was not impressed with how these shoulders ended up at the edges. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Nobody said anything. A little girl was like, "You're Tylee," and that made my day. Having a kid under 5 recognize your character and be amazed that they get to meet you like it's Disneyland, that is just an utter win, in my opinion. So I feel like this was a winning costume. Not award winning, but where it counts. Let me see. Yanalis says hi, Toby and Bruno. Let me pull this up closer so you guys aren't just looking at the top of my head. Yeah, I'm figuring all this stuff out for the stream, but right now it's just kind of casual. Figure this out. I'm in the process of making my space camera friendly so that I can film better. So we're already getting better. Have a better camera. Okay. Danda's Junks. I have notes on my cosplay as well, right? It's like, okay, I can fix this and do that better. You know, it's called experience. I now know better. So now it's time to do better, right? Yes. Yes, Ace. Kid recognition, 100% win. Yes, that made my day. So that was my notes, just on my costume because, you know, I always do that. What am I going to do better? Because this one wasn't that hard. I actually may do it out of the right colors because I enjoyed it. It was fun and it was cute. We'll see. Not anytime soon. Give me a break. Let me forget about it first. Okay. There's several notes, several pages of notes. We're going to start with sewing. Okay. So I brought my sewing machine to the cosplay repair booth. We also had needles and threads and those teeny tiny sewing kits. I am just going to say on record, I do not like those little threads that come in those sewing kits. Those are not worth it. They're going to break. I know saying the threads are supposed to be the weakest link is, well, I mean it, but not that weak. It's going to so crappy in your sewing machine. If you're starting to have sewing machine issues, it's skipping stitches and it's like sewing rough. A bad thread is probably the reason. It's that or the needle. First thing I do is change the needle and rethread the sewing machine. But I typically use either dual duty or Gutermann thread. Gutermann's like the ooh fancy. I like it. I'm getting the nice stuff. And then dual duty is the I know it's going to work. It's kind of polyester wrapped cotton, so it's not going to shrink or color. It's color fast, and it takes all the annoying boxes off of the needs of threads that I have. So if I either get either of those brands, I don't have to stress out. And being a little bit of a thread snob in the process of garment making is kind of where I pick my battles, because it's a cheap thing that makes the whole process easier. Shitty thread is going to be a shitty time the entire time you're working with it. So I'm just saying, those little tiny packs of threads, just get one spool of the black thread or white thread of good stuff and don't bother on, in my opinion. Okay, so just, that's my rant on threads. So we had some good threads. We had buttonhole thread that was just way overdoing it, but you know, like we had a lot of buttons to attach, and good sturdy thread just makes the job go quicker and faster and easier. Yeah, somebody's like, I have red thread, because I couldn't quite find my red thread, and I was like, oh sure, I'll use yours. And then they gave me the little tiny spool. I'm like, I handed it back. I was just like, here, it's okay, I'll take the extra seconds and find the right stuff. And anyways, that was for Azula, and her outfit turned out perfect, and I loved it. But yes, I brought my sewing machine with me, and I left it there for all 3 days. I let everybody use it and abuse it. Like, it just, and it did not give any problems, which is like most sewing machines. Like, sometimes I feel like I go to sew and I fight my sewing machine for like 30 minutes before I can even do the 5-minute job that was supposed to take. But that's working with vintage machines, weird machines, industrial machines. But this, my sewing machine, it's a little digital machine. Multiple people were able to just sit down, use it, and then be done. I think the tricky things that got sewn, I was the one who sewed them. Like, there was some stick-on Velcro that wasn't adhering, so it left a residue on the needle when I sewed it, but it wasn't staying without on its own. The stick wasn't working, so I sewed it down, and then I replaced the needle because that needle was too sticky to sew anything else with, and I just threw that needle away. And the other weird thing is, right after sewing that Velcro, somebody needed a patch attached to a leather vest, and they knew the holes would be permanent, and they wanted this patch attached permanently, and they asked me very nicely to do it, and I did. But I told them that they had to wait for me to replace the needle because I wasn't going to use that sticky needle. So those were the most tricky things that the sewing machine had to do: sewing leather and sticky Velcro, and it didn't poop out on either of those processes. Yay, sharp needles make a big difference. Good thread. I had Teflon tape. Sorry. But Teflon tape on my presser foot, because it really helps me sew with weird materials like plastics and foams and leathers and such without getting it stuck on the foot. And then I also have, in the threading of my sewing machine, I put some Thread Magic. It's just a little sticky thing that you put on your sewing machine that conditions the threads as it goes through your sewing machine, so that the thread's conditioned as it sews, so it does a better job and it goes easier through weird materials. So those are two little things that I've upgraded my machine on, that I've noticed a difference when sewing weird stuff in a sewing machine. So we didn't have any sewing machine issues. It was really nice. I let everybody use it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend the sewing machine that I have. I really genuinely like it. It's a Brother. It's the bottom of the line computerized model, but I absolutely love it. It's lightweight, and I have taken it to multiple cons now, and it has held up nicely. Yep. Let me see. Danda's junk. Oh yeah, I remember that little red spool. They gave you the bobbin? No, it was worse than just giving me a bobbin. It was the little tiny black plastic spool that comes in those sewing kits. And I understand you can hand sew, and I've used those in an emergency, but you're gonna have another emergency if you use that. I'm just saying. You guys are funny. Yes. So those were my notes on the sewing. Split pants. Oh my goodness, did we have several split pants? It was kind of not uncommon, not unheard of. Cheap costume pants tend to be of cheap costume quality fabrics. So, you know, those dress up black generic pants that you could throw with a lot of costumes. Those things do not live up to wear and tear that we expect our normal pants to go through. So I couple pairs of pants were just they were just those costume pants, and we were able to fix them and help them out. But that's kind of, you know, it was what it was. And then there were a couple pop seams. The pop seams were significantly easier to fix, but I wanted to show you guys. I brought a pair of my fancy pants because I wanted to show you guys how you fix your pants seams. So if you have your pants, you split out the back seam or the pant seam or whatever. You take one leg and you turn it inside out, and you take the right side out leg and stick it in the inside out leg. And then pull up on the waistband. And then you have your inseam, and this is where you sew it through the sewing machine, so it's easy to fix. So you put one leg inside of the other, and then you sew along right here if you split your pants. So these are very nicely well-made pants. They have their edges finished with a whole piece of bias tape, but you need to finish that edge. We don't have a serger there. Most edges are finished with sergers these days, but a zigzag stitch on that edge with a straight stitch after the straight stitch is going to hold everything together so you don't pop your seams again. But I wanted to show you guys that because even if like you find yourself stuck and you split a pair of pants and you have to fix it in the bathroom stall all by yourself with a whip stitch, if you put your pant leg inside of the other pant leg, and it's just this seam right here, and it makes it easier to sew. Yes. Split pants, shredded fabrics, vinyls and wovens. Okay, vinyls and wovens. Well, vinyls, those things are their own little tricky things. Vinyls, leathers, those are like you're perforating cardboard. So once you stick those holes in, those holes are permanent, but they're also the tear point and now the weak point. So you got to reinforce that seam probably by sewing it either. When I fixed the vinyl pants, they had initially tried to glue them together, so there was like hot glue and in that seam, so it was like sewing with obstacles. It was an obstacle course. It was a little rough, but I got a straight stitch in all the way through that seam, and then a 3-stitch zigzag along the glue edge. And I think the glue edge really kept things from tearing more, but it was very hard to sew through, and I changed the needle after that for sure. But yeah, vinyl's its own little beast, but it is possible to fix. So yes, we fixed a lot of pants. Yes. Finished a few edges. Put jack things. Oh, lace up garments. So this one girl had her ribbon loops of the lace up of her back all pop off from the stress of being laced. Now it was a cheap costume fabric that was silky, so it just, you know, it popped because it wasn't meant for actual wear and tear. You know, like it's one time use and throw it away kind of quality costume pieces. But it was a really pretty dress, and of course she just got anyways. So I was able to replace some of those. I hand sewed up her princess seams on the back seam for her because they split the seams. And then I was able to replace a couple of those the loops with safety pins loops, but I hid most of the safety pin on the back of the fabric and then relaced her up. Yeah, that was that was an interesting one because can't stab people. You have to be careful when you sew. I even sewed Spider-Man when he was in his costume. His finger came off, his glove came undone, and I was able to sew that. That one was interesting because it's like it felt like Wendy from Peter Pan. Now your shadow's attached. But yes. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, when to sew and when to glue. This is the question. So there's a lot of times that the repair can be done with a needle and thread safety pin, but then there's for times that it's just hot glue. Like when the whole costume's hot to glued together, there's no point in pulling out that needle and thread. Just go with it. It's time for hot glue. In fact, I'm fully convinced now at this point that you can make an entire costume out of hot glue. I am 100% convinced you can make an entire cosplay out of hot glue. Yes. 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 Hot glue guns were the number one thing. A lot of cosplayers just coming up going, do you have glue? Okay, what kind do you need? Hot glue, super glue, 5-minute epoxy, or you just need some contact cement. And where all of the glues technically would work, it was kind of, yeah. The pins, as they fell off, if the glue wasn't really holding and it wasn't going to hold further, just stitch it on. But hot glue, hot glue was the default. Contact cement is better for shoes. Don't hot glue broken shoes. The 5-minute epoxy, but the contact cement seemed to work really well doing 2 layers of it for shoe repairs. We didn't have repeat shoe repairs, where last year I believe we did have a couple repeat shoe repairs, but they were just as bad. We had, yeah, but I think the contact cement surprisingly worked better than the 5-minute epoxy, and definitely don't use hot glue for shoe repairs. Yes. Spray glue is not for cons. Don't even bring it. It's not. No, you're past that point. White glue, fabric glue, no. No point. Popsicle sticks. We surprisingly ran out of tons and tons of popsicle sticks because, as cons go, people bring their staffs, weapons, swords, sticks of various such and sorts, and whether they're 3D printed, cardboard, styrofoam, what else do we have? Plastic. Yeah, those were the kind of the main things that would come. And it's just like, at this point, it's like, we need to add some structure and support at the breaks. And do you want to clear tape it on the, so we would glue it on the inside and at the edges, but for additional levels of support, we would put some clear tape on the exterior, maybe with popsicle sticks that are either Sharpie black, silver, or what color kind of we needed to make it so it blended as possible, and wrapped it with clear tape. So it held together till the end of the con, because at that point, you just want it to last. But yeah. Oh, nice. Ace, I turned a lace fabric tablecloth into a dress for my daughter, only using hot glue, and it worked. Yes. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff working at the costume shop. A lot of hot glue. I'm still convinced you can make a costume out of hot glue. Yes. So, glues that I would have at a con. Again, yeah, hot glue, 2-part epoxy, contact cement, and super glue. The 2-part epoxy, give or take, but the contact cement, 100%. Super glue. It's small. It's easy to bring around, and I really like the portable hot glue guns. And then tape. I really, 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 really like gaff tape. We had black Gorilla tape, and yes, it's stronger, but it's shinier. We had duct tape and clear tape. We didn't have the really thin clear tape. It had more, it was the nicer quality tape, so it was a little thicker and a little clearer, and it really worked for holding those swords together, especially with the popsicle sticks as just an exterior support. Or like, I had a girl come up to me with the staff that the paint was flaking off onto her hands. She's like, I'm not going to repaint it, but I need to be able to hold it. So we gave her, just wrapped it with the clear tape and kept it from falling where she was holding it. Oh. But yeah, so we used a lot of clear tape, gaff tape, duct tape silver. So a lot of the silver weapons, duct tape was surprisingly hideable. Sports tape for wrapping rips. Fashion tape and sticky dots, those got used a lot. So some sort of a double stick tape, but I like fashion dots, and I like my favorite double stick tape for fashion tape is called Top Stick. It is a toupee tape. It holds really well under sweat, like when when you get really sweaty and nothing wants to stick to your skin and you're trying to keep the fake beards, eyebrows, mustaches, all of that. The Top Stick's my favorite. It holds the best, and it doesn't pull out your hairs as much as the other stuffs. So yeah, those are my recommended tapes. We had Sharpies and pens. I didn't really like the Sharpies as much. We had tons of those Ryobi pens, and those are alcohol based, I think. I forgot. But those ones didn't do the purple marks that Sharpies do, so we really liked those. And also, a con is no place for wet paint, so your paint better be dry before you get there, and no touching up. I wouldn't bring paint with me. And then safety pins. Boy, did we learn our lesson. We had tons and tons and tons of safety pins, and I was giving them out right and left because safety pins save the day in so many ways. They hold things together. Yes, they do. And then this year we had black safety pins in the extra large size and the tiny size. So black safety pins are great because they're not as noticeable or shiny, and they blend like a lot better. So I was really enjoying having the black safety pins. And I am very much against the really, really cheap safety pins, like the ones that where you get like 1,000 for $1. Those ones have ruined so many things. Like they eat up fabrics, they get tangled, they don't hold. They're just not even worth it. I throw those away when I encounter them and replace them with better things. But yes, I've just had, use safety pins as my favorite tool. And so now I'm just like, don't really want to waste my time with those crappy ones, and they ruin fabrics. They really do. But don't safety pin leather or anything that vinyl, because those will have permanent holes. Capes and shoulder supports. You have to have something holding them to. Where is the weight sitting? You have to think of where your weight is, and sometimes you don't know until you've been walking around. You're like, it keeps pulling back, so you have to pin it forward. So just safety pins have really helped. Just changing the support of capes. Oh, and I have something written down called the antler problem. Antler problem. So magnets are what I want to fix so many problems with. And I see a lot of cosplayers using magnets in really cool ways, and I think magnets are great. But this cosplayer had this big giant, basically a Mad Hatter hat that was an oversized top hat and made of polar fleece and nice and fuzzy. And on it there were giant antlers. And the antlers were currently pinned in, and she said that she tried using magnets because she wanted them to be able to go through both different hats. And but she's like, they're really lightweight, but the more you go out, the more you're pulling down, and the less the magnets were working. And that might actually be a place to use Velcro. It might actually hold better, but that's the antler problem. The more out you go with the costume, the more weight and the heavier it gets. and the more it puts pressure on the joints that are closer into the body. But yeah, we learn the laws of physics, don't we? Um, oh, Iana, let's aluminum tape. We had that there, but surprisingly, I didn't use any. Like, I like it, and it's very good for hiding tape on metal weapons, but I surprisingly didn't use that, and it was right there, and I remember we had it. But yes, I'm glad. I'd rather have it and not use it than not have it and need it. That's for sure. Um, Danda's Junk says, yeah, I gave myself some time to test out my suit to see what weak areas would develop me using my brain thing. Yep. Sometimes you don't finish your cosplay till the day of the morning of the next day or whatever. It was done in the hotel room before. But yes, sometimes you plan it or worn it before and it just got nicked or whatever. But yeah, we learn things real quick. Um, the black of my machine cannon color still has black gaff tape. I like black gaff tape. Um, okay, so and bobby pins. We ran out of bobby pins twice. Bobby pins hold the wigs in place, and I have notes on wigs. So I don't particularly like wearing wigs because they're hot and itchy, and it's not worth it. But I have, and I do, but if I don't have to, I won't. But if you're gonna wear a wig and you have a lot of hair, French braids are your friends because you can get the bulk of your hair down the center and then take the smaller parts and then put it around the perimeters. So if you have long hair and you want to wear a wig and you need to have it lay flat, a ponytail's a knot up here is going to look awful and it's going to be right in the top of your wig unless you have like a tall wig where you can hide the bulk in it, you know. But in general, if you have a close fitting wig and you have a lot of hair, French braids are your friends. And Jerry kept making the joke, do you want me to staple it to your head? But in all reality, if you're wearing a wig, why don't you staple it to your head? Why don't you staple it to the wig? The wig is a net. You can stitch or sew. I'm not even opposed to staples because they're temporary. You can pull them out just like sewing. So if you have ears or a bow or things that you don't necessarily want to have, like a headband. Headbands add to the pressure on your head. Another thing, squeezing. So you have your whatever your hair is underneath there, but then you also have the edge of the wig holding you down. But then if you have a headband or goggles or other things that are also then squeezing your head, that's going to give you a tension headache. At least it would give me a tension headache. So the more things that you could actually attach to the wig itself, the less things that are going to be squeezing your head. So just, yes, bobby pins. They really are helpful. Oh, yeah. And then I was convinced that I could make a costume out of hot glue, and I started making some things. But those were my opinions about the cosplay repair. You know, what was needed, what wasn't needed. But yes. Danda's Junk. You guys quickly ran out of bobinka too. Yes, we did. That was delicious. Thank you for stopping by and bringing us some bobinka. That was delicious. Oh yes, Yana pointing out the lock picking capabilities of the bobby pin. So I guess you up your lock picking abilities when you add bobby pins into your cosplay. But yes, those were my notes on the cosplay repair. I really enjoyed being there. I liked being able to help people out. The first day, as soon as I got there, we had a line. There were people constantly coming, but we had a ton of people in the booth. So it wasn't like an overwhelming amount of things. I wandered around. I got lost for a bit and came back. But I did help out a lot of people on Sunday. because people show up, they have to finish, or something fell off, or they didn't get it quite right, and things happen as soon like before I got there, there was already a line, and I tried to be early. I wasn't late, but the weather was really bad, so they let people in early. Um, and then the day two was just pure madness. Saturday, I don't think I have been around so many people in the last 2 years combined. It's been a minute. But yeah, Saturday was crazy. But it was fun. Um and then Sunday it was super chill. Like it actually like there hit a point where it's like, wait, there's no lines, there's no people. I can have a minute. And I started to zone out, so yeah, but it kind of was a giant blur. I did enjoy myself. It was fun. Sunday, I didn't even leave the booth. Saturday, I got away for a while, but yeah, Sunday I didn't even leave the booth, but it was fun. Um, Austin Lips is asking, did you use contact cement for Sac Anime with Odin? Yes, we did. Contact cement was my number one to go to for broken talking shoes, and we saw several of those. I fixed for myself, and there were others that I saw that I didn't fix. But yes, contact cement, we used it. So I totally would bring contact cement to a con again. Also, I used it to fix a few phone things, and yeah, it definitely has its place. And we had the heat gun, so that made using it a whole lot faster. So yes. Danda's Junk says, safe to say you were a big part of cosplay repair. Well, thank you. When I was stitching somebody up, they asked me, so how many years of experience do you have doing this? And I just looked and I was like, I have a degree in this and I've been doing it for the past 15 years. So I think I was pretty well qualified for the cosplay repair booth. I just volunteered my time. I was there for a free ticket to Sac Anime, so I fully enjoyed myself. But Bernie Davis says, it looks like fun. Sorry that I'm on the East Coast. No worries. I was grateful that I got to go because I hadn't really gone to a con up until like fairly recently. And now I've gone to several because I've gone to a few Sac Animes now, Stockton Con and the Crocker Con, which is my favorite just because I like the Crocker Art Museum and it was small. So this isn't even the first time I've cosplayed at one because I did Leia and Wanda, but those are also just low-key comfortable costumes. I feel like I've just genuinely been lazy about my cosplays at cons, but I have been comfortable every single time. Oh, I like that. Danda's Junk. Need to split the booth. Odin makes for showing the props and behind-the-scenes fashions for the repairs. Needs to make you a sign. Yes, I have a laser cutter now. I was thinking about cutting out my logo I designed so I can have a giant tangible bug. But yes. Double checking. Yes, I hit all my notes on the comment. So yeah, I enjoyed doing that. I had fun. I had fun doing that. I don't really know what cons I'm going to be going to in the future. I probably will definitely be going to the next Sac Anime. But but I do plan on working on some more projects, that's for sure, and bringing you guys along for the ride. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Bernie Davis, CrockerCon, a convention for Mr. Crocker. Fairly odd parents joke. CrockerCon. The Crocker Art Museum is a local museum in Sacramento that I like, and they had a con that I got to go to with Odin, which was fun. And we were next to the Sacramento Ghostbusters, so I got to go through look at all their proton packs and stuff, and see what we're getting ourselves into. And it was really cool because people had those two bolt pieces that we made out of foam. They had them out of metal and out of wood and out of foam, and like everybody's was kind of different, but you really couldn't see the difference whether it was metal, wood, or foam because they were painted. And it was just like made me go, we're gonna be fine. We got this. It's really nice because it's costume and it's fun. Okay, Danda's Junks. I might do Stockton Con in the end of February. Definitely Lodi Con in May. Not sure about Sac Anime in spring and April. I don't know. It's kind of what I get invited to. We'll see. But yeah, I had a lot of fun at this one. The weather was crazy. Like yesterday, I was going to do this wrap up, but we had no power when I was at my house yesterday. It didn't come on until it wasn't still on. It wasn't on even after midnight yesterday. So I just didn't have power. And a lot of trees fell over this weekend here in Sacramento. I know Wilton had evacuations. So the weather has been crazy, but it was nice at the con. It genuinely was. There was no craziness while it was going on, and yeah, but right afterwards it got a little crazy. My fence blew over. Yeah, to deal with that. Yeah, so things have been a little crazy, but I still have fun this weekend. Yeah, and I think everybody there stayed dry. I know Odin was worried about loadout because it was supposed to get all stormy, but I don't think it got stormy till after he got out. But I didn't talk to him, so I don't know. I didn't ask. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the repairs that I saw. Yeah, I'm not opposed to last minute. There's no difference between homemade, store bought, handmade. I think it all kind of, as long as you're having fun and you're with cool people. Like a bunch of groups of kids came up going, we need paper to make a sign. It's like, we don't have, that's one thing we just didn't have was any just paper laying around. So they kept making signs on napkins and going, have you seen this person? It looked like they were having a lot of fun. Yeah. So yeah, Dan Does Junk has been dealing with a lot more weather issues than I have. Not saying thankfully, but just geez Louise, this weather has been crazy. But I feel very nice being dry and warm right now. Yes, Toby's enjoying himself. Yes. Oh, you haven't lost power yet? That's nice. I've lost power a few times. Ace says, glad the weather cooperated with the con, and I can tell you guys we're having a total blast. Yes. Time flies when you're having fun. It just went, it's over. So it was nice. I totally would do Tylee again. Probably would go through the effort to make a better one if I was to wear it again. 100% would. I did enjoy it. Yeah. Bernie Davis. Yet I haven't seen any snow. What the hey? Yeah, usually when we have rain, the mountains get the snow. I'll be getting it soon enough. I hear it's not even halfway over. We're still going through it. We're just in the middle of it. So that should be fun and interesting. Yeah. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Yes, I will be kind of taking a break for a minute while I get my studio set up and coming back with more new, fun, exciting things for everybody. I am going to be live on. Wait, maybe I might not be. Depends on the weather because the weather has been terrible, and Odin is on standby because he works for the Department of Water Resources for the state and may have to be on call for any damages and stuff like that. But if things if California holds together, I will be on Odin Makes live stream this Sunday. So, um, yeah. So that's kind of my plan. Tentatively Sunday, and if I don't go live on his stream, I'll go live here. But that's my plan. Yes. Yanla says, I meant it's clear for us now. Yeah, today it's clear. Today was a nice little break in the storm before it gets crazy again. Oh, Austin Lip says we had snow on Christmas Eve and day in Ohio. Oh, nice. So you guys got your lovely white Christmas. I would absolutely hate that. I would not want snow. I don't like snow. I like to go visit it and leave because it's too cold. I don't like being cold. I like being all not in the snow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, yeah, I think the next part of the craziness might be Saturday and Sunday, and the media center where we filmed the live stream lost power like the whole time. It was last time we tried to film. So, anyways, depending on weather, I plan on being on Oda Makes live stream this Sunday, but tentatively that may or may not happen. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching me put together this Ty Lee cosplay, for me trying to set up the live stream at the con and this lovely wrap up. I am going to keep going and keep getting better and trying and learning as I go. So, thank you guys for joining me on this journey. And until next time,